This summer, try the new Strato Frappuccino blended beverage at Starbucks. It's the classic blended iced coffee you know and love, now topped with a creamy layer of handcrafted brown sugar cold foam. Available for a limited time. Your Strato Frappuccino is ready at Starbucks.
A massage chair might seem a bit extravagant, especially these days. 8 different settings, adjustable intensity, plus it's heated, and it just feels so good. Yes, a massage chair might seem a bit extravagant, but when it can come with a car, suddenly it seems quite practical. The all-new 2025 Volkswagen Tiguan, packed with premium features like available massaging front seats, it only feels extravagant.
Are you ready to dairy-free your mind? This summer, melt away your dairy-free expectations with So Delicious dairy-free frozen desserts. Enjoy mind-blowing flavors like salted caramel cluster, chocolate cookies and cream, cookie dough, and more. For over 35 years, So Delicious has been cranking up the flavor with show-stopping products that are 100% dairy-free, certified vegan by Vegan Action, and are so unbelievably creamy, your taste buds will do a double take. Dairy-free your mind. Visit SoDeliciousDairyFree.com.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
Hey there, Duke fans. Welcome to episode number 744 of the Duke Basketball Roundup. It is very, very close to the very first football game of the year for Duke football, and we are going to preview that. We have a great guest that is going to be joining us in just a second. First off, I am Donald Wine. I'm your host for this episode. I have Jason Evans with me. Jason, I am back from the Outer Banks. You were still in the Jersey Shore. We both had some hurricane issues over the last couple of days. But how's it going otherwise up there in Jersey?
Yeah, everything's great up here. I've been having a delightful time on my sort of work vacation. The other day there was so much storm surge. Now we weren't having rain. We weren't even really having heavy winds. It was just storm surge from the hurricane that was off the coast. There was so much of it that the water was like rushing up onto the roads. And I shot a little bit of video and I posted it on social media, and ABC News and CNN, of course, I work for CNN, the Weather Channel, a whole bunch of different folks started contacting me saying, can we use your video of cars driving through the middle of what looked like rivers that are really streets? And I was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. There was one network that asked if they could use my video, and I said no, but I'm not going to get into the politics of why I said no to Fox.
Too much water. I did not. We got the 25-foot waves that you could see over the hotel across the street, but yeah, thankfully did not affect us more than that. But we're not here to talk about weather. We're here to talk about football, and we have a great guest for you all today. Joining us is Anna Snyder. Anna Snyder is the Duke beat writer for the Fayetteville Observer. Has only been on the beat for a couple of weeks, so we're getting her right as she's being reintroduced to the Duke community. But Anna, welcome back to the Duke community. We'll talk about the back part in a second, but welcome back and welcome to the Duke Basketball Roundup.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
So to bring people up to speed on where you are, you did not go to Duke. You're from Georgia, but give people a sense of how you got to this point and why pick the Duke beat.
Yes, so I'm originally from Canton, Georgia. I tell people Metro Atlanta, but it's like 45 minutes to an hour northwest of Atlanta. So graduated high school 2019. I went to college at Kennesaw State University. Studied journalism, got done there in May 2023. And then a couple months later, I got my first job, which was covering high school sports at the Tuscaloosa News. In Tuscaloosa, Alabama, along with some Alabama athletics. So that was fun. So I spent the last 2 years doing that, which was pretty cool. And then heard about the opening here at the Fayetteville Observer with the Duke beat, and I thought that sounded pretty awesome. So jumped on that, and then here I am. So I'm very happy to be here.
Now, you have a little bit of a connection to Duke, like you said in your intro article, which everyone should read at the Fayetteville Observer. But you talk about your dad, and we actually just talked about the 2010 National Championship game with Nolan Smith a couple of weeks ago. But talk about that and how that kind of has led to you kind of following Duke throughout your life.
Yeah, so my parents growing up, they called me the son that my dad never had. I'm the youngest of two girls, and my dad, even my mom, loves sports. So I would just always kind of follow in that footstep. And for as long as I can remember, my dad has been a Duke fan. He would tell me all the time, oh, I was at Coach K's first basketball camp when I was a kid. That'll age him a little bit. But so I've just always grown up watching Duke, and I even was looking at pictures from my parents, like when they first met, and there's my dad just in a Duke shirt, and it's really cool. And yeah, I do remember 2010, we were in Florida at my aunt's house, and my dad insisted I stay up to watch that national championship game with him. And that it's funny now, like you look back and that's a core memory, but you don't even think like in the time that it is. So yeah, it's really cool. Like, getting to see everything work full circle. You could say, but my dad is definitely very excited that I'm up here. I can tell you that. I am as well. But yeah, it's just a really cool little family connection there. And I guess you could say family connection, not necessarily to the school, but fan about it. So yeah.
That works. That works for sure. All right. Yeah. So we're going to dive into the Duke football team initially. Yeah. We've got some basketball questions for you. We'll let those wait in a little bit. But I want to start with the big offseason transfer, Darien Mensah, getting a ton of national attention, especially because of what is reported to be one of the larger NIL deals out there as the Duke boosters really step up to make him, available for the Blue Devils. What do you expect to get from him? What kind of game does he have? Is this a guy who's going to lead the offense and really turn the Duke offense into a potent machine?
I definitely think so. When you look at him and what he brings like dual making threats. He can throw the ball and he can run the ball. You can use him multiple ways, which is something, obviously I wasn't covering Duke last year, but from what I've done, learned with my research, that they may not have necessarily had under center last year. So I definitely think that he will be able to come in, elevate the offense. There's definitely a lot of hype about him, but it's going to be cool. We had availability today with the coaches, and it was the offensive coordinator, Jonathan Brewer, was like, I'm just ready to see him go out there and just play. I think everyone's like, all right, we've heard the preseason hype. Let's go. Let's get this thing going. But I definitely think that he is a great addition to the offense. And yeah, he can definitely help take it to that next level.
Well, and a lot of his weapons are going to be transfers who are really expected to contribute on the offensive side of the board. Tell us a little bit about who you think is going to make an immediate impact.
Yeah, so we got the depth chart today. So starting wide receivers, Cooper I apologize if I said Barkate. He is Harvard transfer. I forget exactly how many yards he had receiving last year, but some Harvard record.
Oh, he was all Ivy. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he comes in with lots of accolades, so he's going to be one of the big ones that his name you'll learn. Andrell Anthony is another one. He's listed second on the depth chart, I think, to Samir Hagens. But he's from Oklahoma. He's expected to be a deep threat, definitely, for Mensah. You also have returners in Queso. They call him Keyshawn Brown. He's a wide receiver. And then Samir Hagens, I mentioned. So definitely lots of new names in the wide receiver room. So that's going to be excited to see how that plays out for sure.
I want to shift to the running game because I think with Jacquez Moore and Peyton Jones being back, we obviously lose Star Thomas, who transferred out after one season. But also it was very inconsistent last year with, Star Thomas getting some big games. And then there's some games where the running back position was pretty inconsistent. Do you think that running back unit will be improved? And what are Manny Diaz's plans with the running game, factoring in the fact that Mensah can, put it on the ground?
100%. Based off everything, we've heard, the running game is definitely expected to be improved. Jacquez Moore being back is huge. He just was dealing with injury after injury last year. Peyton Jones obviously is another big one. He's coming back. And also they have a new running backs coach in Chris Foster. So I just think all around the Duke running game, and obviously Mensah, as you mentioned, should definitely be elevated, and hopefully we can see it take that next step this year for maybe a little more balanced offense.
You can't talk about the running game and pass protection without talking about the offensive line. They're going to be called on to do a lot. The one thing about the offensive line is they return almost every starter except for Caleb Priggs, who was a graduate transfer. But it's also a team that feels like there's not a lot of depth behind there. What will they do to provide the run blocking and pass protection needed?
Yeah, depth is definitely a concern I've heard thrown around in regards to the offensive line. But you said it, they return 4 of their 5 starters, and then they have another, I forget if he's a grad transfer, but he comes in with years of experience. So their starting 5 up there is pretty solidified. But depth could definitely be a concern, but I feel like that maybe will be something, in earlier games or maybe games against Elon, you can have some of those younger guys go in and get the reps that could hopefully help them down the line. But yeah, returning 4 of those 5 starters is definitely big for them.
All right, let's get to the other side of the ball, the defense, and you have to start with the secondary. Chandler Rivers, I mean, everyone's saying this guy's an All-American. The quality of honestly, the kind of player that Duke doesn't usually get, and the fact that Duke gets to keep him is just a huge, huge deal. Yeah. Terry Moore is also out there now. I know he suffered the torn ACL in the Gator Bowl, but he's going to come back at some point. How do you think the Duke secondary is going to do? There's Rivers Island, but how about the other side of the field?
I think it's definitely going to be in good shape. Speaking of Terry Moore, Coach Diaz did say this morning he does expect him to be back this year. He's just not sure when. And obviously Chandler Rivers, everyone knows Chandler Rivers. So I definitely, and I even remember at ACC kickoff talking to Chandler about just the young cornerback room and how he's going to be a leader in it. And they brought in a transfer safety, Caleb Weaver from Sam Houston State. So he will bring, some more experience there to the secondary. They brought in Caleb Weaver, so he's going to bring in lots of experience. They got Kamari Robinson, who's going to start opposite of Chandler. And he maybe was not a starter last year, but he has some experience. So I think that they definitely have a solid core coming back in the secondary. And I'm sure you're going to get to this next, but their front 7 has pretty much, been the talk of the offseason. So they should be pretty loaded on the defensive side of the ball.
Well, you led us into it. Talked about the front 7 then, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you got Wesley Williams, Vincent Anthony Jr. on the edge. Both of those guys, I forget exactly what year, but they have lots of experience with them. Aaron Hall there in the middle. They finished second nationally last year. Tackles for loss, sacks, they were up there. So they have some high expectations coming into the season building off of last year, but they're definitely just expected to be very tough and good up there.
Do the Duke coaches sound confident that they can be as good on defense, as good in takeaways and things like that as they were a year ago? The defense was far and away the better of the 2 units last year. I mean, I guess let me transition my question to this. Do the coaches give you a sense of which unit's going to be better this year versus last,
Honestly, if I had to say, I would probably just say with experience, you would think maybe more defense. But Coach Diaz said this morning he really likes the depth on the offensive side of the ball too, and that they have that on the defense. So I think that might be a toss up. But early preseason stuff, defense, 100%.
One thing that we had last year that really helped us throughout the year was the fact that our turnover margin was one of the best in the country for most of the season. I think the Gator Bowl actually kind of was what brought us back into what looks like reality. But for most of the season, it was very, very good. We were keeping the ball on offense. We were turning the ball over on defense. Is that something that you think is expected to continue, or is it going to be where the focus may be more on pressuring the quarterback, getting sacks and hits?
I would definitely say I would expect the turnovers to continue 100%, along with the pressure and the sacks and everything. But I mean, with guys like Chandler Rivers in the secondary, you definitely have options to get lots of picks, lots of turnovers there. And yeah, definitely expect that to be a factor.
Usually follow up to that, Chandler Rivers is kind of like when you had Revis Island, there was a point where if you play the Jets, you just didn't throw that side of the football. How important is it going to be for Kamari Robinson and the guys on the other side of the field to really provide that number of turnovers and, again, secondary hits?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely going to be important, and I'm sure they'll be kind of aware of that going into games. Maybe the ball's going to get thrown this way a little bit more. But no, it's definitely going to be important that those guys, that they don't miss a beat, that they just hit the ground running and they are able to control that side of the field the same as it is on the other. So that it definitely will be important for those younger guys to come in and get those reps and get those plays.
Okay, we've been doing great. We're going to pause right here for a quick break. On the other side, we're going to talk about some of the X factors for the football team this year. And of course, we get to ask Anna about the basketball team. We're not going to let her go without asking about the basketball team. So more with Anna Snyder after this.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Checking off the boxes on your to-do list is a great feeling. And when it comes to checking off coverage, a State Farm agent can help you choose an option that's right for you. Whether you prefer talking in person, on the phone, or using the award-winning app, it's nice knowing you have help finding coverage that best fits your needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
The Jack Welch Management Institute at Strayer University helps you go from, I know the way, to I've arrived with our top 10 ranked online MBA. Gain skills you can learn today and apply tomorrow. Get ready to go from make it happen to made it happen. And keep striving. Visit strayer.edu/Jack Welch MBA to learn more. Strayer University is certified to operate in Virginia by Chev and has many campuses, including at 2121 15th Street North in Arlington, Virginia.
Eczema isn't always obvious, but it's real. And so is the relief from Ebglyss. After an initial dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Searching for real relief? Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
Reese's peanut butter cups are the greatest, but let me play devil's advocate here. Let's see. So, no, that's a good thing. That's definitely not a problem. Reese's, you did it. You stumped this charming devil.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. Becoming the most valuable sports franchise in the world doesn't happen without risk. A man who's willing to bet it all, and the players ready to make their own luck. America's Team, The Gambler and His Cowboys, is the story of the 1990s Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones's impact on NFL history. Featuring interviews with iconic 90s players and more. Watch America's Team, The Gambler and His Cowboys, streaming now only on Netflix.
All right, we are back. We are with Anna Snyder of the Fayetteville Observer. We are talking Duke football. Of course, Duke takes on Elon on Thursday night. You can find that game on ACC Network Extra, ESPN Plus. Check your local listings. Really check your local apps for that game at 7:30 p.m. And I want to switch to some. We've talked about the offense. We've talked about the defense. And we've talked about some of the transfers that we're expected to contribute. But we also have a pretty good freshman class. Is one of the best freshman classes, if not the best freshman class, that Duke football has ever seen. Are there any freshmen in this group that could make an impact on the field this season? We've talked a lot about the upperclassmen, but are there some freshmen that you think will be a part of that mix?
100%. The first one I'll say is Bryce Davis. He was the highest rated recruit Duke had in its 2025 class. And he came in on the depth chart today, listed third under, I want to say it was Wesley Williams, their defensive end, but coach was talking about him today and just said he's just a sponge. You know, he just learns and absorbs. So I definitely expect to see him make an impact. Another one, Nate Shepard, running back. I want to say Coach Diaz said he led all rushers in yards at the first or second scrimmage. So that's definitely going to be a name to watch. There's another one that I keep hearing thrown around. They call him Juice in the secondary, Andrew Pellicciata. I hope I said that right. But he's been getting lots of praise through camp. So, I mean, there's definitely lots of young guys. It's going to be cool to see how, they mix with the freshmen and the transfers and the returners. It's going to be cool.
Hey, looking at the schedule, what do you think's the most important stretch for Duke this season? I look at, they got Georgia Tech on October 18th and then Clemson on November 1st. Arguably the two toughest teams along with Illinois, the two toughest ACC teams in the schedule. I kind of like the fact that they have a little time off before Georgia Tech and a little time off before Clemson. When you look at the schedule, where do you see the moments that are like the big inflection moments for this Duke team?
I would agree with you on that October stretch. And that October stretch is also kind of weird because they play and then they're off and then they play and then they're off and they're also going to California in between there. So they kind of have a weird stretch, but I definitely would say those games, Georgia Tech is a big one, obviously, Clemson. So hopefully the rest will come in handy for them then, but it's going to be interesting to see how they handle it. I know Coach Diaz was talking about the schedule at ACC Media Days, and he called it bizarre just because they have like a 3-week span. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but a 3-week span, and they're maybe playing like one game. And that's right smack in the middle of the season with some of your tougher, bigger opponents. So I definitely think that October stretch is really going to be important for Duke. And obviously they play Clemson November 1st. So that'll be a big one as well.
All right. So I guess the big question for this Duke team is, can they really compete for a place in the ACC championship and perhaps get to the college football playoff? I mean, I know some folks who, run scenarios and computer models and things like that are really high on this Duke team. Give them like as good a chance as just about anybody, maybe other than Clemson, of making the college football playoff from the ACC. Is that pie in the sky dream or is that a real reality? And are the coaches talked about goals at all regarding like the playoffs?
Yeah, they have, but really just sounds like their focus right here, right now. This week's opponent, this is what we're doing. I mean, obviously, a lot of it'll be interesting to see them play. It'll be interesting to see Darien Mensah, how the offense clicks, if it's going to take some time, which I'm sure it will. I don't think that is a complete outrageous thing to say that Duke could make the college football playoff or would end up there, but it's definitely, ask me that question maybe again in September. That's what Coach Diaz always says. You learn your team in September, October. Ask me that then when we get a few games under our belt. But I mean, with everything everyone's saying, I don't see why that is so outside of the realm, like why that seems like such a crazy statement. But we will see.
So let's get to it. Prediction time. All right. Where we're looking at the regular season only because Jason and I will think all the way to the third week of January if we need to. But during the regular season, how many wins do you think Duke will have? And does that get them into the ACC championship game?
So I actually did my game picks this morning, and I picked Duke to be 9-3. So based off what I put, I do not believe that would get them in the ACC championship, but I could be wrong. So you never know. But I picked them. I picked their losses to be Illinois, Clemson, and Georgia Tech. So we will see. Those are obviously they're tougher games on the schedule. But I mean, I think the Illinois game could also be a toss-up, because it's early game. It's at noon as well. So I'm super excited for that one. And I was listening to something earlier just saying how important it could be for Duke that they're catching Illinois early and how they could use that, take advantage. But yeah, I did put them at 9-3, which based off what I put would not have them in the ACC championship, but you never know.
That puts us right in the hunt, so I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's switch over to basketball just for a moment. Just the other day, you went ahead and put out an article where you projected who the Duke starters will be.
Yes.
You said Caleb Foster, Isaiah Evans, Dame Sarr, Cam Boozer, Patrick Gongba.
Yep.
What was your reason for picking those? I mean, you picked mostly experienced guys.
Yeah.
Other than Cam Boozer.
Yeah.
I feel like I can make a case for anyone other than Cam Boozer Cam Boozer's going to start.
100%,
I'm not sure I can make a definitive right. I'm not sure I can make a definitive case for anyone else. I have suspicions, and actually, if I put together starters, it'd probably be the same as what you had. But I mean, you tell me that Nick Hemenia finds his way in there. You tell me that Malik Brown is starting. You know, any number of these, I think, are possible. How'd you come up with those 5?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's tough. Like, Duke is not lacking on the talent there. I'll start with Caleb Foster, Isaiah Evans, Patrick Gumba. They, especially the first 2, they really, they just bring lots of experience, and the stuff that Duke puts out videos. I've been watching their videos, and everything, the guys have been saying, it's CFOS, and I think, what do they call Isaiah? They call him Slim, I want to say.
Slim.
So
Showtime Slim.
Yeah, they definitely look up to those guys. So those guys 100% will be veteran leaders. Patrick Gumba is going to have some shoes to fill at center, but I don't think that he will have too hard of a time doing that. As you said, Cam Boozer is Cam Boozer. So that'll be fun to watch. And Dame Sarr, the Italian, he's just, I mean, you said it, there could be a case for anybody. And it will be interesting to see as the season goes on, like the variations of the lineup and how they all kind of go. But it's hard to say exactly how I pinned it down, but I just looked at it and thought—
You had to pick someone, huh?
Exactly. I just thought about it over and over, and I was just like, this is just what I'm feeling right now. But yeah, I mean, it will definitely be interesting to see as the season goes on. Maybe some fluctuations there, some changes.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm excited. I feel like with the starting 5, you could put anyone out there, and I'm sure you could elicit some debate. But everyone's kind of like, yeah, I guess so. That sounds great. I think that's the quality of this team, is you can stick any guy into one of those positions. And again, with the exception of Cam Boozer, I feel like a lot of people would be satisfied with what we got here. But Anna Snyder, last word from you on Duke basketball. What are you most excited about in covering both Duke football and basketball? Again, you've only been on for a couple of weeks, but what are you most excited about in taking on this new role?
I'm just really, I would probably say I'm most excited about engaging with the Duke fan base, and just because, the Cameron Crazies, and I think I've heard them, the Wallace Wackos, I think.
Wade Wackos.
I played some of the college football 26 games before I moved, and that's what they would say, because I'd play as Duke and I would hear them say that. It would make me laugh. But I'm just really excited to just jump in and just, meet the people that make Duke. You know what I mean? And just get to experience that. I think is going to be really fun, and especially with the people that are most passionate about it. So yeah, I'm super excited. My first Thursday night at Wallace Wade, and then I will be super excited for my first game at Cameron Indoor.
Now, I know you said your dad is a big Duke fan. Have you been to many games in Cameron?
None. Literally none.
Oh, I can't. So we're going to have you on after the first
game. Yes. Which one you're going to? I need to be there for that.
Yes. What's so funny is, like, a couple months ago, before I even heard about this job, I was at lunch with my dad, and he has been talking for so long, like, Anna, we're going to go to a game at Cameron Indoor. Like, I'm going to make it happen. And a couple months ago, he was like, we're going to go this year, Anna. Like, we're going. I'm making it happen. And now it's like, okay, well, I will be there, Dad. I don't know about you, but I'll be there. But no, I've literally never been to a Duke basketball game or a Duke football game. So I'm super excited.
Your dad was just manifesting this chance for you, this opportunity.
100%.
And now it's here. So we look forward to that. We look forward to your coverage at the Fayetteville Observer throughout the season for both Duke football and Duke basketball. That's Anna Snyder. Thank you so much for being on. And we'll have you back again at some point, hopefully during the season.
Yes, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
And for all of you out there, I'm not going to give away anything. I'm not going to jinx anything. All I'm going to ask you to do is stay tuned to the feed. We might have some more content this week. Hopefully, if all goes well,
it's a big one.
Some content this week.
It's a big one.
That's all I'm going to. No, Jason, it's just stay tuned to the feed. That's all we're saying. So we will leave it there on this episode of the Duke Basketball Roundup. He is Jason. I am Donald. Again, thank you, Anna, for joining us. And now it's time for the Duke Band. They're going to play us out and take us home.